Today is CPI day, and everyone is asking, is the 4-year Bitcoin cycle about to hit, crushing the markets and the Bitcoin price? Or is the breakout just getting started? Here's what's different this time. We've never had raging institutional Bitcoin adoption, nation states loading up on Bitcoin, and the Fed is on the edge of flipping from rate hikes to a string of historic cuts. If those cuts hit in September, after Bitcoin already survived the most restrictive financial environment in its history, we're talking napalm on a bonfire. The death of the 4-year cycle? Possible. A prolonged super cycle? On the table. And with Powell's replacement coming in 2026 and Trump pushing for massive rate cuts, we might be starting a liftoff event like Bitcoin has never seen. So strap in. This is Sophie with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. Breaking news, CPI just dropped and July inflation came in at 2.7%. That's lower than the 2.8% that the market was expecting. And you know what that means. The Fed just got the green light to start cutting rates in September. Yup, cuts in September are still on. The Fed just got more confidence to open the liquidity taps. Short term, this is bullish for risk assets, especially Bitcoin. Meanwhile, whales are already taking advantage. David Bailey is literally buying $760 million worth of Bitcoin today, and the market dips. Idiots handing over their Bitcoin to whales and institutions. For the love of God, please stop feeding the whales. Now, let's talk about the fight breaking out over the 4-year cycle. Historically, it's been simple. Halving, bull run, crash, slow recovery, next halving, repeat. Or green, 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 red if you so prefer. But this time, the buyers aren't just retail FOMO. We've got ETFs, treasuries, sovereign wealth funds, 401ks, and pensions, all buying. These types of things are why not only Pierre Rochard and Tom Lee, but also Bitwise CIO Matthew Hogan is also saying the 4-year cycle is done.
4-year cycle? Is it over?
Yeah.
Woo.
It's over.
Okay, hold on. Explain.
Well, I mean, so my view of the 4-year cycle is you have a catalyst that brings new pools of capital in. So 2011, it was the launch of Coinbase. Retail investors could buy Bitcoin, new capital, then leverage builds up and eventually it pops. 2015, the introduction of Ethereum. 2019, DeFi. 2023, it was Grayscale winning its lawsuit in March against the SEC. We're going to get ETFs bringing in capital. The reason I think it's probably not going to play out over 4 years is I think that's a longer inflow of capital than retail hot ball of money, which was the past 3. And then secondly, we have yet another of those catalysts in November, which is the election completely changing the game in terms of institutional adoption. So even if the ETF-driven cycle would have built up, leveraged, and popped and receded, we have this second tidal wave that's just so much bigger than that first one. It's going to overwhelm it. So will there be, pullbacks? We're seeing one now as leverage comes out of the system, of course. But the election was such a sea change that it's like, it doesn't matter. Yes, there may be this natural thing, but it's just going to get bulldozed over. That doesn't mean we've repealed pullbacks, but I think this cycle is going to be much longer than people think. I definitely don't think this pullback is the end. I think 2025 will be a great year. I think 2026 will be a great year. I think 2027 will be a great year. And we'll see about 2028.
Max Keiser says, I'll do you one better. How about the age of central banks is over?
For the next 500 years. Can you explain what you mean?
Sure, of course I can explain what I mean. You have a world where the train is leaving the station. Bitcoin has changed everything fundamentally. And those with coin, or the coiners versus those without coins, the no coiners, there will be a split in the world and society, and we won't be looking at the world in terms of nation states anymore. I think the nation state becomes passé or disintermediated. Central banks are obliterated, and you have the global tribe of millions of Bitcoiners who have all the money. And then there'll be everybody else who doesn't have it. They'll just be living in a different reality. And that template will be set for 500 years because Bitcoin is perfect money and it's taken 1 million years to get to Bitcoin. We finally achieved it. And now it's a day of reckoning. If you have no coin, you'll probably be living in the equivalent of hell. If you have coin, you will be living in heaven.
And the truth is, the halving might be the spark, but global liquidity is the oxygen. With rate cuts on deck and global demand surging, we might not see brutal bear markets anymore, just consolidation in a bigger super trend up. As Michael Saylor said, winter is canceled.
0 or 1,000 to 20, and then back down to 3 or 4, and then up to 50, and then back down to 15, and now up to 110. Like, when does it drop again?
Winter's not coming back. We're past that. We're past that phase. If Bitcoin's not going to 0, it's going to $1 million. And you have all the evidence you need to determine that, right? The President of the United States has determined he supports Bitcoin. The cabinet supports Bitcoin. Scott Bessent supports Bitcoin. Paul Atkins has shown himself to be an enthusiastic believer of Bitcoin and digital assets. Ken Tez at CFTC feels the same way. The banks are going to custody Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gotten through its riskiest period. The accounting has been corrected. There's now only 450 Bitcoin a day available for sale by natural sellers. That's the miners. At this level, that works out to about $50 million of Bitcoin available for sale every day. If that $50 million is bought, then the price has got to move up to find any seller that's price sensitive. Now, if you do the math, you'll actually see the Bitcoin treasury companies by themselves are buying the entire natural supply.
Yeah.
BlackRock and the ETFs are buying another measure of that. And we've got nation state actors coming into the space. So I think when Bitcoin rallies, if it surges to 500,000 or $1 million, then maybe we could talk about it crashing down by $200,000 a coin. But at the current price levels, it only takes $50 million to turn the entire drive shaft of the crypto economy one turn. And you've got the Trump media organization announcing $2.5 billion. You've got GameStop announcing $500 million. You've got my company that's raising billions and billions of dollars. So the writing is on the wall. Bitcoin's moving higher.
Let's take a quick look at the scoreboard this morning. Metaplanet just bought 518 more Bitcoin, now holding 18,113 Bitcoin, passing Trump media. Norway's sovereign wealth fund boosted Bitcoin exposure up 192% this year to 7,161 Bitcoin indirect. Michael Saylor's strategy is now sitting on $30 billion of unrealized profit. 42 times Michael Burry's big short win. Oh, and Fox Business says trillions could flow into Bitcoin as major banks open trading.
Trillions of dollars in assets under management, and registered reps all over the country, financial advisors, can now put people in Bitcoin. We knew it was going to make it go up. We knew the Trump administration was basically friendly to crypto. This was such an inevitable move. That's why it's gone higher now. That's probably why it's going to continue to go higher, because Bank of America, for example, the biggest bank, has not yet made that decision, and they are bound to.
Whale addresses with over 100 Bitcoin, new all-time high. They're scooping like it's an all-you-can-eat SAT buffet. So while the institutions are stacking, you need to make sure that your Bitcoin doesn't become their Bitcoin. Go to thebitcoinway.com. They'll walk you through self-custody, privacy, multi-sig setups, everything to make sure you own your sats. Don't just stack, secure your stack. Take control of your Bitcoin safely, privately, and without the headaches. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Period. Use that link in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute consultation and get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into self-custody today. And once you've secured your Bitcoin, here's how to make it work for you without having to sell a single sat. If you ever need to tap into your Bitcoin's value without selling it, you're holding pristine collateral. That's where Ledn comes in. Ledn has funded over $10 billion in Bitcoin-backed loans since 2018. No monthly payments, no penalties, just pure flexibility. You control your loan. You control your Bitcoin. Collateral is never lent out to generate interest. And every 6 months, Proof of reserves. It's simple. If you need cash but don't need to sell your precious Bitcoin, Ledn has your back. Check out Ledn Bitcoin-backed loans done right. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply. Simply Bitcoin clients get 0.25% off their first loan. And here's where it gets wild. The Fed is about to go from the most aggressive hiking cycle in decades to a string of cuts. Trump's economic team is already talking historic cuts once Powell is gone. That's rocket fuel after Bitcoin has nearly doubled from its last cycle without any rate cuts. Jason Pizzino says $340,000 Bitcoin this cycle would break history. And while it's a big ask, it's not insane. That's a $6.7 trillion market cap, still less than a third of gold. And over the past 5 years, Bitcoin has crushed every asset class with a 58% compound annual growth rate. Let's wrap with the massive shift happening right now. Fingers crossed, the reverse Cramer effect is not in effect here. And yes, that Cramer now says that Bitcoin can survive the financial Armageddon.
Jim, Bitcoin's on the move today. A lot of the crypto stocks as well. We're not quite back to 123K, but we're close.
Well, it just continues to be, anytime you ever hear about what size the deficit is, or David, you know that the trillions of dollars in the interest has made a lot of younger people feel, this and Ethereum are a better place to be. I'm a huge believer in this, by the way, because I have very little faith that we're going to be able to grow our way out of. I cannot think about how we're going to grow our way out of our situation yet. Maybe.
You mean our debt to GDP?
I've not been able to figure out a way. So it's a great hedge against the.
It conceivably is, but if there's financial Armageddon, Bitcoin hangs in there, you think?
Yeah, I do.
Jack Dorsey's block is launching a full stack Bitcoin banking suite. Blue Origin is taking Bitcoin for space travel, literally to the moon. They still have to get to orbit, so there's that, but hey, it's something. Nations, corporations, and whales are buying faster than miners can produce. Today's CPI number could be the match that lights the most explosive Bitcoin breakout in history. The 4-year cycles may or may not be dead. We'll find out likely between September and November. But Bitcoin's ceiling, which actually doesn't exist, just got a whole lot higher. Don't forget that this November 11th through the 3rd, Simply Bitcoin will be at Mining Disrupt, the biggest Bitcoin mining event on the planet. Come hang out with legends, see tech, and watch the future of Bitcoin infrastructure that is being built today. Get your tickets now, and don't forget to use promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off. Don't blink, don't sell your stack, and for the love of Satoshi, don't feed the whales. This is Sophie with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.